carry on with this then. So I really don't actually want to do this. And I don't mean I don't want to do it. I mean, I do want to do it. But what I mean is, like what I was talking about earlier with my emotional blocks and barriers, and I really don't like talking about myself, really. I really don't. So I find this, it looks very easy, but I find this really hard, actually, what I'm doing right now. It's not easy for me, but anyway, I'm going to carry on. Because I need to get over my limiting beliefs and procrastination. And if I've got something in my mind, yeah, then I just need to get on with it and just do it instead of just thinking about it, overthinking it. I don't know, I just get stuck in my head. So I need to stop getting stuck in my head and just carry on. So yeah, I've been talking about my public speaking speech about myself that I'm working on. It's a work in progress. And I was talking about how, part of it, I just feel like I'm just listing. Yeah, then I did this, then I did that, but then what I've actually decided is I'm going to just do that for that portion of my life. I'm literally just going to list year by year, exactly like a curriculum vitae, like a CV or a resume, exactly what I did each year, and just keep it brief, one thing that I did per year. And then by doing that, it's given me another idea that I think what I'm going to do is do this in some form of like PowerPoint presentation. Yeah, and then it's given me an idea to sort of like, if I do PowerPoint presentation, lots of like nice images and pictures and stuff of like creative stuff that I did from back in the day, then I'm thinking, you know what, I could utilise that to put together like my website. I'm thinking, because ultimately I'm thinking of, I'm pitching myself. I'm writing my public speaking speech as a pitch for if I go into business for myself, doing like a coaching business, coaching, counselling business. That's like the end goal sort of idea. So yeah, so let's just start again and work with what I've got. So hello, hi, thanks for joining. If you're joining, can you like the live, share the live, and send some gifts over, like some donuts or roses or sunglasses or hats or galaxies or big lion heads or, cosmic universes and all of this sort of stuff. Can you send some gifts over? Thanks so much, to show your appreciation and your support. Thank you. So anyway, let's carry on then. I filled in the gaps. And I really just need to stop going over and over the same stuff in my head. Yeah, and get with 2026. We're in 2026 now. I've just recently completed a level 2 counselling course. I also have a coaching diploma from the Speak Up Challenge. I'm wanting to start my own counselling and coaching business, specialising in helping young people and women realise their potential. I also work part-time as a home tutor for post-16 students experiencing exclusion and barriers to learning. I find this role motivating and challenging. Motivating in the sense that I'm working with young people in education. I've been working with young people in education for many years. I find the role inspirational, that I get to have an impact on the growth and lives of young people. I find it challenging in the sense that I find myself increasingly having to balance the fact that my position and role is about motivating others, inspiring others to find their own way in life, their own passions, etc., while simultaneously being aware that my own life is far from perfect. Navigating my own unhealed and unprocessed emotions, trauma, and difficult relationships. How do we then, therefore, show up for others when we are just about and barely showing up for ourselves? So, to answer these questions, it's good to start at the beginning. I grew up in a small town called Chelmsley Wood, which is on the outskirts of both Birmingham and the outskirts of Solihull. At the time, we were one of a few black Jamaican households in an otherwise very Caucasian town. I never had any major issues at school or growing up, apart from the occasional teasing, which was very minor. I was fairly bright and a straight A student by the time I got to secondary school. My mother left home and went to go and live in America when I was 7.5. Being the middle child, meaning I'd come home to my dad, my older brother, my older sister, who took on the caretaker role, myself and my younger brother. I attempted college a few times before before emigrating to America, to New York to be exact, when I was 18, returning the following year to the UK. 1999, I went to Joseph Chamberlain College in Balsall Heath, Birmingham, and completed in 2001 with an A-level in English Literature, A-level in Theatre Studies, AS level Media. I also done a GCSE in Expressive Arts, which was learning about how to produce musical beats on software called Cubase, which is very similar to Pro Tools and Logic, what is used in the industry today. I went to Wolverhampton Uni, then to Birmingham Uni, left after my second year, started supply teaching in secondary schools. Went to South Korea in 2006 to teach, returned to complete my BA at Open University. By the time I got to my final year, I'd had some type of episodic mental health and decided to kill the time by studying at uni, to further my studies at the same uni, Open University, to get my master's, leaving with postgraduate modules in English Literature in 2012. Paradoxically, a lot happened in between the space of that time. So then basically it's work in progress. So yeah, I got a multidisciplinary BA Honours degree and postgraduate diploma of higher education in humanities and art subject specialism in English Literature in 2012. Okay, so then I'm going to fill in the blanks. No, I'm going to carry on. By 2012, I finally felt like a graduate and felt the taste and smell of freedom arising in the dusty, lurky corners of my academically overloaded mind. I was living in a flat that, for some stupid reason, I gave up to go and live closer to my then boyfriend. The real reason, deep down, being because I knew I'd always held on in my mind to the idea of the American dream and returning to live in the US. Okay, so now I'm going to do my list. Yeah. So I'm going to go back on myself, what I was saying. I'm going to, from the time I left college, 2001, with my A-levels, and I'm going to fill in, year by year, things that I was working on during that time, between 2001 up until the present day. And it's going to literally read like a curriculum vitae. But for the purposes of this video, I don't care right now. This is how I'm going to do that right now. So yeah, 2001, 2002, I went to South Birmingham College. I got a higher national certificate in multimedia, which is all to do with video production and designing for websites and this sort of thing. Between 2003 2004, I transferred from Wolverhampton University. I was also engaged in collaborative projects in the Birmingham City Centre with a youth arts participation company called Gallery 37, which I think the original headquarters are based in Chicago in America. 2004, I got a commission for what was called the Collide Festival, which was a production that I wrote and performed at the Drum in Aston, in Birmingham, which is now called the Heritage Centre. Involved music, dance and drama, with a group of 3 other participatory performers. 2005, I started supply teaching with Aspire People, and I got my Higher National Diploma in Performing and Visual Arts from Birmingham University. 2006, I got a travel bug, and first of all, I went to Italy. End of 2005, I went to Italy for 3 months, to Venice, on an EU program, EU exchange student program, and I worked in Venice making the Venetian masks, and early 2006, I continued with my travelling bug, went to South Korea to teach over there. 2007, I wrote my first theatre play production called Fool's Paradise. Co-wrote it with a friend of mine, and it's performed at the Conagry Centre and at the Drum Arts Centre, again what's now called the Heritage Centre, in Birmingham. In 2008, I went to Stratford-upon-Avon to work as a contracted supply teacher at Stratford-upon-Avon High School. 2008 to 2010, I decided to continue my studies and complete my bachelor's degree. So I went to Open University, which is distance learning, and I got my multidisciplinary 2.2 Bachelor of Honours degree from there. I also performed community theatre in the small local community theatre called The Door, there at the Repertory Theatre in Birmingham, on a piece that was it was a collaborative piece. That was a friend of mine was the person who got the commission for it and asked me to perform in that. What was it called? Genesis 9:25 it was based on. As well as a piece that I wrote myself, I performed at the Drum as well. 2010 to 2012, I got my postgraduate diploma in Humanities English Literature from Open University. I decided to stay on there to get my postgraduate modules after I'd got my BA. 2013, 2014, I returned to America, this time living in Pennsylvania, where I was working. So I worked as a tutor for a company called Wisant Tutoring. I also worked as camp leader and done some stint in customer service. In 2015 to 2016, when I returned back to the UK, I continued support working and also started care working for another agency. 2017, I went to BMET College and got a personal fitness training level 3. 2018, when I had my first baby, my son. And I was a stay-at-home mother for the first year and a half, 2 years, until we all went into lockdown in 2020, which the lockdown lasted for 2 years. So during that whole time, I was a stay-at-home mum during the COVID lockdown years. And 2022 is when I started working for another agency, doing academic support working at the universities, mainly Birmingham City University. Yeah, okay, so that's filling in the blanks. So yeah, after I graduated, I moved. I gave up my flat and to go and live close to the city to be closer to my then boyfriend. Yeah, but as I said, the real reason was because deep down I knew that I'd always held on in my mind to the idea of the American dream and of the idea of returning to live in the US. Hello. I've got a temporary phone and it's being a bit slow at the moment, but thanks for joining, and hello. If you joined, can you like the live, send some likes please, thanks so much. And some gifts over if you can as well, please, thanks so much then. Hello Laura, how are you doing? Okay. I was working as an ESOL tutor for Saudi Arabian adult women in Coventry, when the owner decided she wasn't going to keep me on any longer after 2 months of being there. So I decided to take my 2 months' salary, pack my bags, and return to the US for good. I thought I'd said goodbye to the UK for good, but disappointingly so, I returned after 9 months of living in Pennsylvania with my mum. Another outskirts suburban town called Lansdale, not too dissimilar in demographic to Solihull, the town I grew up in the UK. While there, I had several part-time jobs, working as a summer camp leader on a Sound of Music project for 7 to 14-year-old pupils at a ladies' dance company in Valley Forge. There were 2 main malls in the area, Montgomery Mall and another mall, which I don't know the name of the other mall. I thought it was the other one that I worked in, but I've just checked Google and I think it was actually Montgomery Mall that I worked in, for a jewellery company called Pagoda Piercings. Also in a pop-up store for the Christmas, a store called Brookstone, which specialised in sort of like, I can't describe their products, like home gifts and presents, like for the home and home decor and gifts, this sort of stuff. Later, a couple of weeks in a bison restaurant waitressing before returning to the UK the following year. For other reasons I won't mention here, I went to live in Wolverhampton, where I started care working in residential homes for about a year before I returned once again to supply teaching with an educational agency, spending 6 months of 2016 in a school in the Willenhall area, which is just outside Walsall, which is in between Wolverhampton and Birmingham, doing general cover and exam invigilation. Thanks for liking the live. Thank you so much. If you can like the live and send some gifts over as well, then please. Okay, I started singing locally in a trio with my then boyfriend around some bars in Wolverhampton. I went on 2 holidays to Greece, Thessaloniki. The first time with my then fella. He acted as a tour guide around the beach areas of Kalamaria and main city of Thessaloniki, and that strip where the Alexander statue is, and the white building of Macedonia, that white scenic building that is there, the White Tower I think it's called. The second holiday with him, my dad and my dad's new lady in his life. That relationship came to its head in mid-2016. I spent just under a year in my flat in Wolverhampton getting over the breakup, and a year later, meeting my son's dad was the very most unexpected, very last thing I ever thought or conjured up to think to happen. I spent the years, months leading up to and before I realised I was pregnant, home caring, support working for a lady in the Tettenhall area of Wolverhampton, about a mile away from where I was residing in Chapel Ash in Wolverhampton. I was working 2 days a week in Debenhams in the children's wear department. The timetable eventually clashed with the care work that I was doing. I was called in 1 hour each day, each morning, and 1 hour in the afternoon. 14 hours a week in total to dress her wounds. She'd fallen down the stairs and broken her arm, and otherwise being a very competent and capable and proudly independent, mature woman. I had to dress the arm, prepare breakfast for her, the same thing in the afternoon, prepare the dinner meal for her. I learned, without training, how to administer insulin with the EpiPen, since it was more healthy and beneficial for her to be administered than to leave her without. I had to learn on the job, as I'd received training for everything else, but not this. I was at this time doing a personal fitness training level 3 course at BMET College back in Birmingham. By this time I was about 4 months pregnant while I was doing that PT level 3 course, which I found this course harder than everything I'd studied up to that point, including my master's, due to its scientific background, concerned with measurements and weights and specifics. A bit scientific for my otherwise humanistic and artistically abstract wired brain. My son arrived the day after Meghan and Harry's wedding, which I watched on the TV, recovering in the hospital from a C-section wound. So that is all I've got written so far. That's the continuation. Yeah, and I thought, because I was talking earlier about doing 2 different approaches, like I could do like the success approach, or I could do the sort of authentic approach. So that's like a draft version of the success approach, because that's all about what I was doing, you know. That's like high functioning Marcia and all the jobs that I've worked at, you know, in terms of like work, you know, and earning money and that sort of thing. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to do another version, which is going to talk more about go more into depth of like my relationships and sort of like what was going on with me, sort of like, yeah, relationship wise and emotional wise. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. And then I'm going to intertwine the 2 different versions somehow and come up with my final version. But that is my spiel for, if you've just joined, what I'm doing is, basically a couple of days ago I saw an advertisement come up on my feed in Facebook about a public speaking event, and the event is all to do with teaching and providing masterclasses for people who want to be public speakers and who want to promote and pitch their coaching businesses, if they're like coaches or counsellors or teachers or this sort of thing, and they're either in business for themselves already or they're looking to go into business and they want to work on their branding and, you know, getting their pitch perfect and getting on stage and promoting themselves to secure more clients and all this sort of thing. And I would actually like to go, but it's all the way in London, and I'm not sure really if I can, if I want to take my effort to go all the way to London for this event. I'm not sure. So I thought, you know what? I've got a camera, I've got a body, I've got a voice, yeah, I've got a brain. You know what I can do is just, whether I go or not, because I've never done anything like public speaking, and if I was to do anything like that, I really wouldn't have a clue where to start or what even to talk about. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to just work on something, yeah, and put some sort of like public speaking pitch together about myself. Yeah, because I really don't. I know you see me on social media, but I really don't talk that much about myself, really. So I thought, you know what? Now's a good time to start as any other. So that's what I'm doing. And I'm going to upload this in the next hour or so onto my YouTube Lifestyle Chav Chat channel. So go and check it out. Go check out my channel on YouTube and like some of my videos and leave some comments, share and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great evening. Thanks for the likes to anybody who likes, and thanks for joining. But I'm going to be off now, and you'll probably see me back on here tomorrow. I'm not sure yet. Maybe about the same time, between 6 and 9 o'clock, maybe. We'll see. Alright then, speak to you later. Have a great evening. See you later. Bye-bye. See you, bye. I'm off.